It's so stupid.
I've been doing a lot of praying on my knees, okay?
You've been doing something on your knees.
God damn, this is a... Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our savage take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the SaVeg Podcast.
Welcome back, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to another episode.
Episode 201.
Is it actually?
Yes.
My God.
We'd be around for a long time.
God damn, we know how to
Rose.
talk.
Ain't that the truth?
If one thing's for certain, we are very good at talking nonstop.
Speak for yourself, Rose.
I was speaking mainly about you.
Excuse me. I feel like I barely talk, to be honest. Most people that know me outside of this podcast environment,
Daniel, when did you get so good at lying? Are you the Israeli government? Oh, shit.
Oh, God damn,
I
Rose.
said it.
You did say
It's a little too soon for that.
Before we get into the stories, guys.
Why are you getting so serious?
I don't know. No, I was.
What are we doing before we get into the stories?
Before we get into the stories, guys, if you're not already, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/thesavage podcast. You get exclusive content. We do an exclusive episode every single month. All the content on there is ad free.
Yeah.
And you get it before the public.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's a fun time, you guys.
Yeah.
And
you get a shout out.
You get a shout out. Speaking of shout outs, we've got a new Patreon member.
We do.
It is Lara.
Lara, welcome to the Patreon family.
Welcome, Lara. Thank you so much for joining. And if you guys want your name shouted out, make sure you join right now.
God dang.
Link is Bellari.
Link is in the show notes.
It's in the show notes. So yes, guys. Well, you know.
Lots going on.
Once again, lots going on. I know we haven't really talked about the Israel-Palestine situation since that video that we did.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like, so much is happening every single time. And obviously, like...
Every day it's like something new.
Well, you know, it's still an ongoing situation. And basically, Israel's just dropping bombs, fucking drop.
Left, right, and center.
And I can't remember the last kind of update. I'm sure like everyone, whoever is following it, they've been following it.
Yeah.
And we haven't been like talking about it every single episode. But so right now, at this moment, today is what, Daniel?
Today is November 20th, Monday, November 20th.
So this has been going on since October 7th. So it's been like fucking
a long time.
A month and a half, almost 2 months now that this has been happening. And basically the death toll in Gaza is like just unbelievable. Okay. So at this point, the numbers that we know right now, the Palestinian death toll in Gaza Strip rises to 13,000 since October 7th. So that includes 5,500 children. Now, keep in mind that so many people are still like stuck under the rubble. So that doesn't count all of the different people. I
like
feel
the unfound people,
exactly.
I guess, right?
So there's people probably missing. Like these are confirmed death tolls, right? But there's people stuck under the rubble. There's also people that don't have enough food still, fuel. Hospitals are running. They don't have like anesthesia. So like kids are getting like amputated without like anesthesia.
It's fucking crazy.
Like it's absolutely insane. So now finally, because there is so much pressure from everyone, like not everyone, but from like so many different people around the world, I think that's why they're finally kind of having a discussion about hostage releases.
Yeah. It only took them this long.
Oh my God. Well, this is the thing. Okay. I said it before and I will say it again.
Let's hear it, Rose. Tell us.
The entire point of this was never about hostages. It was never about Hamas. It was always about gaining more land, and it's so obvious to anyone that pays attention for more than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
because basically, first of all, they were like, first they were like carpet bombing everything, and they were just like fucking throwing so many bombs into Gaza, killing so many people. And second of all, if it was about hostages and if they didn't want to target civilians, why did they shut off food, water, and electricity in the first place? And why are you just like fucking bombing the living crap out of it?
If you don't know where the hostages are, you could be bombing them.
Exactly. So, and some hostages have died. We don't actually know how they died. They could have been killed by the bombs that you've been throwing all over the fucking place. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't fucking know. Okay. So anyways, they did that. And then at first they were like, oh, so all of the people in northern Gaza need to go to southern Gaza. So they like evacuated, quote unquote, like forcibly evacuated all of these people. So this happened like, I don't know, a few days ago where like a bunch of people in northern Gaza were like, you know, forced to evacuate, given like a few hours notice. They were like, okay, you need to leave. Again, it's so insane. Just like picture, this is the thing. It's so easy to talk about it. And, you know, we see pictures of it and, you know, but it's like, imagine this happening to you, right? Like imagine someone's like, you need to leave your fucking house. You don't have really enough time to like bring anything. You need to leave because we're just going to bomb the living crap out of your neighborhood.
Exactly. The scary thing is though, if you think about it, it's not just about like, well, it is about leaving and stuff, but it's like if everybody in the community is all leaving at the same time, it's chaos. And
they don't have fuel. Like they were all just like walking and just, it's insane. And some people can't leave. That's another thing. Like some people are not mobile. Like some people are not able to, you know, walk on their own. Maybe some people again are, I don't know, like it's just all messed up. Anyway, they like moved to southern Gaza, and then the last time I heard, they were like, oh, you need to actually leave southern Gaza as well. So basically they're just trying to take over Gaza. And it's very, very obvious if you look at like any, like what some of these people are saying, what even like, you know, some people in Israel are saying. They're basically like, Gaza is ours, and it's very like colonialist talk. It's very much like, oh, we're gonna take Gaza essentially. So again, like I don't believe for a minute that it was about hostages to begin with, because why are they doing this now? You know, so now it says Israel Hamas close in on hostage deal amid mounting scrutiny of Gaza death toll. So now that how many people? 12,000?
13,000.
13,000 people have died and counting. They are finally discussing potentially freeing some of these hostages for a pause in fighting. And
you know what's kind of scary with this stuff is like the death toll is probably never going to be known like officially. Because the thing is like there's events that happen, and I'm not comparing this to like what's going on, but like sometimes there's like a famous landslide that happened in close to Calgary, and all this rubble came down the mountain basically, and because it's so expensive and you know there's the huge boulders and shit, they never moved any of it. So there could be like, they don't know how many people are under there.
It could be.
And it's the same thing here. Like you know how expensive it's going to be to clear up some of this shit?
Right, exactly.
So they might just leave some of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, who knows? And if I don't know what's going to happen with that area. Again, like Israeli forces, they also went in. So now it's like they did a ground invasion. And then, so like now the people, the Israeli government is in there. The IDF.
But how are people still out there being like, free the hostages?
Because the thing is, of course, free the hostages, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like exactly. Like how is that you're like the only thing that you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, of course, we all like, nobody's saying like, fuck the hostages. Like we're like, let's free the hostages. But how is that your only kind of like thing that you were talking about?
Yeah.
You know, like it's insane to me. Like you were talking about 200 something hostages, which for sure need to be freed. But, you know, like committing genocide is not going to free the hostages, right? So it's like it doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's like, how are people still like, I stand with Israel? Because they're so brainwashed. Like like they're so brainwashed. And then they did this thing. So honestly, like it would be funny, and it is kind of funny, but like it's not funny because it's so like sad. But basically, so they went into they went into Gaza, and they were like, oh, we're gonna. So a few weeks before, when they started carpet bombing Gaza and everything, they released this like fucking AI footage of one of the main hospitals in Gaza called Al Shifa. And it was like just like this, you know, like computer generated image, and they released this kind of shit as if it's like proof. They're like, this is proof, even though they like made it on their fucking computer. And it's like this AI generated image of basically Al Shifa hospital, and then they're showing underneath the hospital that there's like a Hamas like military base. They're showing like the Hamas, like they're saying this is the Hamas headquarters. Okay. So this is because this is always their excuse for like bombing everything. They're like, oh, Hamas is like, you know, operating amongst the civilians. They're using the civilians as human shields. Therefore, you know, we can just kill all the fucking civilians.
We'll just go in there and just open fire.
Exactly. So then they pretend that that's not what they're doing, but it's just like, look at the death tolls. Okay.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves. So basically they released that footage. So now they actually went into Gaza, right? So they took over Al-Shifa Hospital, killed a bunch of people in fucking Al-Shifa Hospital as well. And they, basically they made these videos and they were like, look at these videos. And then like one of the videos was like I can't remember if this was Al-Shifa, but it was like somewhere in Gaza. And then this guy that like works for the IDF, he's like one of the main guys. And he like goes and he's like, look at this. This is proof that, you know, Hamas is operating here. And he points to a piece of paper on the wall, which by the way, again, they didn't allow journalists to go in and like do their own private investigations.
Yeah.
They only allow like, I can't remember I think CNN or something. They were like, yeah, they're not allowing journalists, unaccompanied by like Israeli forces. So basically, if you're a journalist, like, you know, working for CNN or something, you have to go in with Israel. They're basically controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, if you have nothing to hide, why would you not want a third party in there?
Could you not go in? Could you not go in with like a Israeli forces though, and then leave and then comment after?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Well, maybe you won't get invited back in.
Or I don't exactly. Yeah, exactly. I have no idea like how. But basically, I've had like one of the journalists said something like, yeah, like it's very limiting what they're allowing us to report on or something like this. I can't remember.
It's kind of like when you hear about those people that go to like North Korea.
Exactly.
And North Korea is like, okay, they'll like watch everything that you're putting out and like edit and like all that shit.
How do we realize that is propaganda, but we don't realize that this is not this is also propaganda?
Yeah.
Like if you have nothing to hide, buddy, get UN in there, get CNN in there, get the journalists in there and show them yourself. Like you posting your own video that you filmed is not like proof. Okay.
Yeah.
Like again, it's like the same thing as me sending you an article telling you how great I am.
Yeah.
And I'm the only source.
Yes. Well, Rose, you have done that before.
I mean, I do it all the time.
You sent me many articles about how amazing you are.
And it's proof, Daniel. It's proof. So
unrefuted proof.
Exactly. So then he's like, there is a list. And it kind of went viral because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like a piece of paper. And again, it's in like Arabic, okay? And it's like, it looks like a chart. And he's like, oh, this is like a chart of like the Hamas, like, I can't remember what he said. And then people that like spoke Arabic are like, it says like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was like a schedule for like the hospital.
Yeah.
And again, like even if it had names of, you know, Hamas militants or whatever, how's that still proof? You could have written that.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
But how embarrassing is it that he didn't know what it said and it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Exactly. And then they did this other video and they were like, yes, we're going to prove that Al-Shifa Hospital is like the Hamas like headquarters. Barely proved anything. They had like a few guns, like a few weapons. Like if you're at headquarters, there's going to be some like,
oh yeah, there'll be a lot of shit there.
Barely anything. And then they also were like, oh, we're going to post it uncut, no edits, blah, blah, blah. Posted it, deleted it, reposted it. And people were like, oh, there's actually like a cut here. And also there's like, they like pointed at some laptop and was like, look, this laptop was used as like a, you know, Hamas, like whatever operating thing.
Yeah.
And then in the original video, there was like a very like kind of faint, you know, there's like a screensaver or whatever. And there was like a picture of like, what I think was like an Israeli like soldier, like a woman that was like, I don't know, in the IDF or something.
Yeah.
And then they like reposted it, blurred the laptop and repost it. Why do you need to blur the laptop?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to blur the laptop? You know?
But do people have the original footage so you can see it?
Yeah. I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
Just shit like this. At this point, even because normally mainstream media is always on Israel's side, right?
Yeah.
Now I think it's shifting finally a little bit because the bullshit is just so
bullshitty,
and it's like it's just so obvious. And finally, like, you know, even people at like, I don't know, BBC and CNN, they're finally starting to like question these people, being like, what are you doing? Like, you know, and like, look at all these lies. Like basically one of the reports I saw was from BBC, which usually are like always on Israel's side. But he was like, look at all these like lies from Israel being like, oh, look at this thing from Al-Shifa. None of this is proof. And even if it was all true, even if you took everything at face value, believed everything they said, it still doesn't justify all of the killings and all of the insane amount of, you know, deaths of literally 5,000 plus children.
Yeah. But I think honestly, that's why, like, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that has gray area, right? Like, you know, you can get into an argument, you can get into a debate. You can have two countries that are like, or two different opposing groups at each other. And it's really hard to like distinguish, you know, which kind of side you want to be on. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can be like that, right? And I think what's happening here is what Israel is doing. It's just becoming more and more blatant to the global media. And I think that's why, like, to this point is they're closing in on brokering a deal for the hostages now, all of a sudden, because the tides are shifting.
Yeah.
And people are starting to question and be like, okay, well, hang on a second. Like 5,500 kids that we know of have died. We don't know about all the other ones that are under the rubble or somewhere, you know, dead as well. Like, it's starting to become like to the point where it's like, okay, this is actually ridiculous.
I mean, it was from the beginning, but
always,
yeah, exactly. So in the beginning, maybe people were confused. People don't know enough about Israel and, you know, Palestine. They don't know enough about what's going on. So I can understand people being confused. And then in Israel, I think they get a lot of propaganda, so much like indoctrination from a young age.
And that's hard. Like, you have to think about, like, no, it's not hard, but I mean, if you grew up in a society where we're plugged, and sometimes this is why I sometimes question myself. Like, I'm wondering, like, is there something, like, you know, is there something that we are exposed to all the time that we kind of just take it for face value, but outside, you know, are like, what the fuck? So it's hard when you grow up from a child and you're told a certain narrative. Like, I think a perfect example was that documentary, or that, what was that thing called that we watched?
We watched this documentary called Israelism.
Yeah.
Where it's basically about, which I highly recommend. And it's basically about people that, like Jewish people that grew up learning that.
In US, right?
Yeah, mostly in the US. Yeah. Because they do because I think a lot of US people, they really push the Israel narrative, right? Yeah. I don't know if like in other places in the world, Jewish people are always like, I don't know how much they're taught that like they need to go to Israel. Yeah. But I think it happens more in the US because you know how like the US Israel, like, you know, relationship. So basically it's about, mostly people in the US, Jewish people that were taught from a very young age that Israel is like their homeland. Yes. Even though they were fucking born in Massachusetts, you know, like, well, and fuck you.
And I thought it was quite powerful because one of the main girls that's in it, she was like, I was taught, you know, from this whole time. And then she actually was like, I'm embarrassed. Like, when she starts learning more about what's going on and stuff, she's like, well, hang on a second. This is not what we were taught. Yeah. And then she actually gets angry and frustrated and tries to go back to the, you know, institutions. And they're like, you're anti-Jewish, you're this, you're that. And she's like, well, no, hang on a second. I'm not. I'm just questioning some of these things you guys are teaching us. And then I think a really telling thing for me again is the fact that when she goes to Israel, she meets some people that are on, like, you know, with or not with, but are Palestinian, and they take her through their part of the area. Yeah. And they take her with open arms and they say, look, you know what? We have nothing to hide here. Come and see what it's like for us. Like, seriously, we're not bullshitting here. And I think for me, that was a telltale sign, because you're right. Like, if there's nothing to hide, same with, you know, what's going on right now, like Israel would be letting journalists to go in and letting people to have like an unbiased opinion on what's happening. But obviously, if you're trying to hide stuff or you're trying to, like, you know, manipulate what's going on, you're not going to allow that. So to me, I was like, that's the biggest thing where, you know, someone that's not as close to this, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, well, what is actually going on here? Like, how come, you know, you see this girl being able to welcomed with open arms on the Palestinian side, and they talk openly, and they're not like aggressive or anything to her, but that's
that's another thing. That's the narrative that they're also taught, that like all the Arabs want to kill them. Exactly. Right. This is the narrative that they're taught in Israel, is that all these Arab countries just hate you and want to kill you. Yeah. Like, and that is so, first of all, like, would you not question, like, why do they want to kill me? Like, why would you just randomly want to kill me? Yes, some people are insane, for sure. Some people are. And there's definitely, like, you know, there can be things like that, for sure. But it's like, would you ever question, like, okay, so why? And then also, like, think about the fact that there are Jewish people that live all over the world that are living fine. Like, yes, there is anti-Semitism for sure, but it's like, you know, I would say that if you're in Israel, you're probably in more danger because of this current situation. Definitely. Right? But then they make it seem like, okay, we have to protect Israel. This is the only way we can be safe. And it's just so, so that's why the movie was so good, because it's told from that Jewish perspective, because it's like, I think it's really like telling that these people, where they grew up and they believed one thing because that's what they were told.
Yeah.
But then they saw the truth, and some people will deny it and they won't listen to it. But some people are open-minded and they will try to, see that perspective. They weren't taught about like the first Nakba, which is basically when in 1948, when all the Palestinian, like 700,000 Palestinians were like either expelled or killed or something like this.
Stuff. Yeah.
Basically, like literally kicked out of their homes so that Jewish people could move in and make it their land, essentially. So that's what happened in 1948. And that they said basically when they were evacuating North Gaza, they were saying this was the second Nakba, basically because they were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And there was a woman that was like in her 90s or something that was going through her second Nakba. So she was evacuated forcefully.
Fuck.
I know. In 1948, and then she experienced the same thing.
Fucking hell.
Which is so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Israelism, really good movie. So it's about like a bunch of Jewish people that finally realize like, oh my God, like we've been taught lies, like, this isn't true. And, I'm not a self-hating Jew, because that's what they always get.
They always say that, yeah.
People always like, you hate yourself. It's like, no, it's not even about being Jewish.
Exactly. And again, like if you have nothing to hide and you have nothing to, and you have a strong foundation of what you're standing on, you wouldn't flip that easily and be like, oh, well, you're a self-hating Jew. That's why.
Exactly.
Because all they're asking is for answers. They're like, hey, they don't go up to the institutions and are like super aggressive and, all this stuff. They're just like, we have questions. We want to know about this. And they're like, well, nope, you're self-hating.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no,
you're
anti-Semitic. Exactly. Let's have a discussion.
Why don't we have a discussion? Exactly.
And they won't have a discussion. So that to me is like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
To be like,
anyway, so it's fucked up.
Yeah.
And the problem is, I feel like, I don't know what's going to happen. But Israel, like I think they also want to go into like Lebanon. Like they've been doing shit to Lebanon as well. Like I've been doing some research about that too. Like they've done in the past, they've like bombed Lebanon. They've killed a bunch of people in Lebanon. So they have a very sinister agenda, if you will. So I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully they can stop this current situation. And actually release the hostages and, deal with the occupation. Fucking end this fucking occupation. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I honestly, like, I would like for it to happen, but I just think, in the 75 years that this has been going on, like the chances of it ending now.
I know, but I think we've never seen as much public pressure until this point.
Yeah.
So like, first of all, like so many people being killed. Like, I don't know. I can't remember. The UN, someone in the UN basically said, never in my entire, like, tenure as, or what is it called? Like entire time in the UN.
Yeah, my
have
career,
I seen this many kids or this many people being killed in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And this is just unprecedented. Like, it's unbelievable, he said. So it just shows like how extreme this is. So I think in some ways, because it's so extreme, people are now seeing the truth of it. And also because of social media and like us actually, like people being able to have an actual, footage of what's happening. Like the number of dead children I've seen, like it's insane.
Well, it makes you wonder too, like in the past when we learned about these conflicts, right? It's been going on for 75 years. I've always heard about, like, honestly, throughout my childhood, there's always conflict in Israel, right? And if you think about it, like even just now, how the IDF was like controlling the media that's going in there. Well, obviously that's not new. That's been going on for years. But in the past, like when I was growing up, like I don't recall like too much about it, but I know it was in the news and stuff. And they probably, would have been the IDF controlling the narrative that's going out. So people would have been more supportive and not really knowing what's going on the other side.
Totally.
Whereas now I think you're right. I think there's more awareness because of social media, because of all this, other, pressure from other external groups and stuff. So I think there's more of a holistic view as to what's going on and not just what the IDF is pushing.
Exactly.
So, and they are getting pressure. I mean,
and also the U.S. government, to be fair, because they were the ones, the U.S. media, the government, they also controlled that narrative as well. But now that we have TikTok and like literally TikTok, like the amount of footage, like the amount of actual videos that were posted on TikTok that actually shows like so much is insane. And if you look at it, like it's like anything the IDF posts, it's all very marketed. It's like very strategic. Whereas like literally the Palestinians are just like filming dead children.
on their phone,
like filming a fucking someone that got amputated, like someone that's crying over their, you know, fucking entire family being killed. So it's like, you know, come on guys, okay, if you're still thinking like, oh, like this is a fair game, or this is some kind of, you know, war between two countries, like you are so fucking deluded. I don't even know how to talk to you. Like I'm sick of talking to these people at this point, because it's like, you say anything and they're like, what about Hamas? I'm like, it's not about fucking Hamas. It's not about fucking Hamas. And also, you're creating more Hamas members. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you just killed everyone's family. Like, you're creating more militant people by continuing this fight. Anyway, God damn. Anyway, hopefully this will end.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm not very optimistic.
No, me neither. If anything, if 75 years, or I don't know how many years, God, 70 years, 75 years.
Well, I think the one thing that it's interesting, because you mentioned, like, I wonder if there's something that we are unaware of because we were brought up a certain way.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was like, one thing that's like really fucked up, which I feel like is something that we were brought up because we're in the Western world and stuff, is just seeing like almost a normalization of seeing Middle Eastern people being bombed or like in war. You know what I mean? Like, I almost feel like that was so normalized to us, because it's like, because remember when the Ukraine thing happened and or like being refugees, like, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Because that's like the image that we always got, like, you know, 9/11 and then like war in Afghanistan and Iraq and all this stuff. And remember when the Ukraine thing happened and all the journalists were like, oh my God, it's so weird to see Europeans being refugees.
Yeah.
And I was like, in some ways that's fucking racist as fuck.
Yeah.
But also I was like, that's kind of true in a weird fucked up way, because that was the only thing that we ever saw, like, of them. You know, we don't see them living their normal lives. Like, all we see is just them being, you know, bombed, or they're in war, or they're like terrorists, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's the one thing that I feel like we grew up just almost like internalizing that kind of image. So I think that's another reason why so many people are so quick to be like, these are just terrorists, and, you know, like, we need to worry about the hostages, because it's like, you know, we're taught in Western media, like, you know, brown people are the terrorists. Like, no, like, we still do not name like white shooters as terrorists, you know?
It's always
it's always a mass shooter.
Yeah, mass shooter.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that's, you know, of different ethnicity.
Exactly.
Oh, it's a terrorist attack.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, exactly. So it's like, I think that's like still kind of ingrained in all of us.
Yeah.
So we're so used to saying the word terrorist when it comes to literally, like, I've never heard that being like somebody that's like white being called a terrorist, even Asian, like my Asian, like, you know, like, so that's like so fucked up.
It's crazy. It is actually crazy when you think about it. Like, it's so stupid because, like, really, when it comes down to it, like, we're all people regardless. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever. Like, but you're right. We do get these like preconceived, like, not even preconceived, but it's like what we're taught and grew up with, and, you know, but hopefully some of that stuff is starting to change. I
think so. I think it's starting to change. I think, well, I mean, for some of us, not for all of us.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, it's like some people, you know, if you're of a certain ethnicity, you're like more likely to get like strip searched in an airport, or like, you know, all of this.
Think
kind
about
of stuff.
9/11. Like, after 9/11, the amount of people, like anyone with brown skin, oh, like I imagine them flying. Like, anyone with like a turban, anyone, you know, I heard like they were stopped all the time. Like, even at that time, I remember hearing stories like of people being like, I was discriminated against. I was like, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah. You know, like, but it's like, that's the thing. That's because we're pushed this narrative that like, we don't see them in any other context, but like, oh, they blew up an airplane. What the fuck? Yeah. That was like, how many people? That was not even... And, you know, oh, they're all fucking terrorists, even though there's like, I don't know how many people that are like Muslim, but there's like a fucking bazillion people that are Muslim. Yeah. And none of them, they're not all fucking blowing up airplanes. Exactly. Like, fuck off.
It's like saying, like, you know, if we have somebody that's like a mass shooter that happens to be white, it's like all white people, they be crazy as hell. They be getting their guns, shooting everyone. It's like, well, no. Exactly. That's a select one or a few people.
And like, let's not pretend that like there weren't, you know, governments and people doing crazy things in the name of Christianity, or, you know, it happens all the time. But it's like, again, because who gets to control the narrative, you know, it's a bunch of white people.
And, you know, speaking of that, I did see a funny thing, guys, and I might, you know, rub some people the wrong way.
Oh, God.
But I saw this thing. I think it was on TikTok, or maybe it came up on just like my Instagram feed or whatever. And it was like, I don't even know if I should say it. It was like,
okay, say it.
No wars have ever been started in the name of Satan. You know what I mean? Like nobody's been like, you know what I mean? Like it's always been like something else.
That's true. It's always in the name of the Lord.
Like, the Lord Jesus.
Allah. What other gods are there?
So many.
See, this is why I like Buddhism. Because, I mean, do people fight over Buddhism? I don't think so.
But I don't know. Maybe there has been wars on Buddhism.
No, it's about peace, okay?
Peace and love.
I mean, I generally just don't like religion, period, okay? So, like, fuck that.
I just think it's very like the thing with religion that bothers me is I like think it's like, you know, great, everyone has their own belief system, everyone has their like what they believe in and all that kind of stuff. Where it bothers me is because like I just see it in practice, like just from growing up with religion and like seeing it firsthand. It's like people get really, really opinionated. They get like very what's the word where it's like you just believe that your religion is the only way to live. Like I would be more understanding and actually appreciate religion more if people were very like, let's say I had a belief in one religion, you have a belief in another, but we can all hang out together. It doesn't matter. It like we can talk about our religions, but it's never like that. It's like, I think I'm better than you because of my religion. I think you should convert to my religion because my religion is the only one that's the right one. You know, if you want to go to like heaven
out of
or whatever.
like the hundreds of religions that are out there, somehow you chose the right one.
Exactly. Like I used to remember, like
so dumb.
There used to be these. I think they were Jehovah's Witness or somebody that used to come into the grocery store that I worked at a lot, and I remember just like I always chat with everyone. I'm not really a talker, but you know,
not much of a talker, but I chat with everybody.
And we would just be having a chat, and then I remember them being like, and me just saying like we were talking about religion or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I don't really like believe. You know, I was like, I respect people's religions and I respect what people want to believe in, but I don't personally. And they're like, oh well, that's just because you haven't found salvation and you haven't found this your savior. And I'm like, okay, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like at that point, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Fuck off. I'm going to the gay bar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so stupid.
I've been doing a lot of praying on my knees. Okay.
You've been doing something on your knees.
God damn, this is a PG podcast. People don't think I'm a slut.
You know, that this is the thing.
Yeah.
People can believe whatever they want. You know, freedom of religion, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't care, but it's like when people use religion as, you know, a reason to feel better than somebody else. And B, like an excuse to do like crazy violent shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, thou shalt not kill is your fucking first commandment.
It's interesting because I have friends, well, people I've met throughout life and of some all different types of religions. And there's been some that have been amazing. Like there's some of my friends that are very religious and they're very open-minded. They're very like, you know, but they just believe what they believe, which I respect that. Yeah. But then on the flip side, I've met people, and I remember like I met somebody when I was in Spain and they were super following one religion and you could just feel like that they were like judging you. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they didn't drink, they didn't do a lot of other things. And like, you know, even if I just had a glass of wine with dinner, I like felt like I was being condemned. It was weird. And I was like, I don't want to hang out with you because you make me feel like shit. Yeah. You know, like, oh, you do that. Oh, you drink coffee.
If only she knew what you did in that.
I know. Well, this is the thing. I was like, it's crazy. But then I have some friends that are like Muslim that are very like, you know, trying to set me up with manses and stuff. You know what I mean? So like, it's like such a...
Well, that's the thing. It's like, the thing is, my biggest pet peeve is when people think that because they're religious, they are good people or that they're moral. Yeah. It's just so untrue. First of all, you can be religious and a good person for sure. Yeah. You could also be religious and a shitty fucking person. Yeah. There's no relevance to ethics whatsoever when it comes to religion. I hate when people are like, oh, she was such a good person, a church going. I don't give a fuck if you were church going. Do you know the kind of shit that goes on in the fucking church?
I know.
Fuck you. Okay. And there's plenty. I actually would say that a lot of people that don't believe in any religion, a lot of them are actually just generally ethical people because they won't do bad things just because they're bad, not because there's a risk of going to hell. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like if you have to believe in a God to not do something shitty to somebody, does that make you a good person?
And also, you know, you guys, again, I don't want to go too down this rabbit hole because we could definitely go down this rabbit hole.
We are going down that rabbit hole.
Oh, god damn.
We're halfway down.
We are halfway down. God damn. I'm trying to poke my head back up.
Okay, we started the segment with Israel and Palestine. So I think at this point, I mean, it's all... Yeah. It's all out there.
But my thing is that I think to myself is like, you know, again, you're right. Like if you're doing stuff in the name of like it's almost like, you know, you a lot of like very religious people that are like, you know, thinking they're holier than now and thinking that there's such good people. Actually, there's an element of like narcissism and selfishness, because like the only reason that they're doing a lot of these like kind things for their God is because they want to end up in heaven, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's not because out of the kindness of their heart they're like, I'm a selfless person doing this. Whereas if I do something nice for somebody, I'm not religious, so I'm just doing something nice for somebody, you know? I'm not thinking, oh, if I do this, I'm one step further on the gateway to fucking heaven, you know? Like
totally.
I already know where I'm going, okay?
Well, that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, again, like religious people, completely nice people, fine. But yeah, I do think there are some people that are attracted to religion for that reason. They think, oh, I'm going to be saved.
Yeah.
And then therefore I can do whatever I want. I can do all kinds of shady shit. As long as I pray to Jesus, I'll be fine. And it's like, okay, well, no, that does not make you a good person just because you believe in a sky daddy. Anyway.
Exactly. A sky daddy.
One last thing about Israel Palestine to end on a slightly comedic note, even though it's not a comedic situation. I saw this TikTok of this guy he was like doing stand-up comedy and he was like, which side are you guys on? And then basically talking about Israel Palestine, and some people said Palestine, as one guy that was like Israel, and the guy that said Israel, he's like, okay, so like what do you mean? And then the guy's like, well, you know, like October 7th happened, blah blah blah. And then he's like, yeah, but you're just watching from this season. You're just starting in this season.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like laughing. And then he's like, yeah, you know, I started Game of Thrones. I'm sure you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
This reference. He's like, I started Game of Thrones, you know, halfway through, you know, what the season as well. You know, and I thought, oh yeah, King Joffrey, great guy.
Yeah.
What does King Joffrey do? He's
fucking crazy. Okay. I remember him just being like, if I remember correctly, I haven't watched Game of Thrones for years, guys. But I remember King Joffrey. He's like he turns into, he's like one of Cersei's sons, and he becomes the king, and he is like just an evil person,
right?
Like he slowly becomes this like evil person, and then
so that was the reference.
Oh, I like that.
So that was pretty funny.
Speaking of people doing
shady shit,
scandalous things, you know what, guys, I don't love these stories, but I also love these stories. In a sense that like whenever there's a story about like a public figure, a politician, anything like this, where it's like, you know, they're caught with their pants down.
Sometimes literally.
I just love it because like generally it's like these people are so hypocritical. They're so, and I'm not saying that this person is necessarily.
Yeah. But I don't really know much about this person.
I don't really either.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. All I know is we're talking about, he's a Republican. Based in, I believe, New York City, George Santos. Like, I think he's in the New York State.
Yeah, he's quite like a famous politician.
Yeah.
He's been in so many scandals, I don't even know. But basically, George Santos, he's a congressman, okay? And he's accused of spending campaign cash on botox, Sephora, interestingly enough, and OnlyFans.
Which I think, okay. First of all,
I would like to know who he subscribed to.
Shall we find out? Maybe I don't know if it goes into that level of detail.
Oh, interesting. George Santos rose to fame as a pathological liar who lied about everything from being this is how I know him, yes.
Yeah.
He lied about everything from being a college volleyball star to losing colleagues in the Pulse nightclub shooting, which was that the gay nightclub?
Yes, yeah.
And was later charged with stealing donor identities along with numerous other felonies. Announced Thursday that he will not run for re-election next year. I guess he was running for president. And then the article says, can you believe him? Probably as much as you can believe anything else he's ever said.
Oh my God.
I love this.
Apparently this guy, again, how he's been, I think when he says re-elect, I think he's in Congress, right? Like he's not necessarily like a president or anything, but like I think he's
running for Congress again or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I don't know anything about
I don't really know how US politics works, guys, to be honest. But we did learn about it in school, but I just forgot.
I know.
But like, you know, I don't get how politicians, because this isn't the first case of this happening, when they misuse campaign funding, right? Like, is there not some
jail time?
Well, and also is there not like an auditor or somebody that controls the funds? Like, how is he able to like siphon funds so that he's able to this is alleged, guys, by the way, to get cash for Botox, for Sephora, for OnlyFans, for all this like ton of shit.
Like he must have had a credit card, but it's like, don't you have an accountant? Is your accountant just being like, oh, OnlyFans, great.
Yeah.
That's part of your campaign. And it's just so fucked up.
Hang on, I want to find another article.
That's like basically stealing. Oh my God, George Santos. This guy is something else. You know what? He must be a great politician because politicians that are great at lying are great at their job. So George Santos appears to have lied on camera about OnlyFans usage. So he's claimed that he's never even heard of the site.
Bullshit.
Okay, this is how I know that's just bullshit. Okay.
Yeah. So like, I honestly, this is what I don't get though, is first of all, you knew about him because of all the lies from before, right?
Yeah.
How is someone like this, someone that gets even elected into Congress? Like,
I know.
I don't understand. Is there no, like,
I know.
I think I talked about this before in the podcast where I'm like, if I lie on my resume and my boss finds out or my employer finds out, like, chances are I'm going to be fired, and chances are, you know, or there'll be some repercussions, right? Like, you're not supposed to lie on this shit. You're not supposed to do this shit. And yet these are the people that are fucking running.
Yeah. And they probably won't see jail time at all.
Yeah.
It says after the House's investigation, which is the House of Commons, is it? Oh no, House Ethics Committee. Okay. Investigation found that Santos had used the money from his campaign committee to pay down, this is what he did, pay down personal credit card bills and other debt, make $4,127 purchase at Hermes, and for smaller purchases at OnlyFans, Sephora, and for meals and for parking.
It was quickly discovered the congressman had also publicly lied about his knowledge of the popular porn site.
Oh my God. Well, this is another thing. Okay. Here's the thing. So another thing that's fucked up about politics is lobbyists and how you can just basically pay politicians, which is another reason why a lot of U.S. politicians will always side with Israel no matter what, because there's like an Israel, what is that, like AIPAC or something? American Israeli, whatever, that organization. Okay. They give tons of money to different politicians.
Right.
And so they will never say anything bad about Israel. They will always support Israel no matter what. But like the fact that that's even allowed to like be able to just for committees for you know, for example, the gun American lobby, whatever, all of these like lobbyists to be able to just like buy politicians. That's fucked up. So then what do they do with that money? Is that just like is that just money for them?
Well, no, I think a lot of it basically because
it's supposed to be used for campaign.
Exactly. So and legitimate campaign expenses, right? Like obviously if you're running for like election or things like that, there's a lot of like marketing materials. Right. So think about all the posters, all the like rallies that they do, all the like not fundraising, but like, you know, the pins, the everything.
So the more money you have, the more chance that you have to win.
Exactly. Because it's a marketing game.
Which is why the lobbyists will give you money, because once you win, then you can vouch for them.
Exactly. So if I'm a wealthy
corruption.
Exactly. If I'm a wealthy lobbyer or lobbyist organization, I'm going to put a lot of money behind a politician that's got my best interest at heart, right? Yes. So I'm like, you know, for example, if I was like the American Rifle Association, obviously more likely going to be backing Republicans. Yeah. So we're going to put a shit ton of money in there, right? And then
I just can't believe this is even allowed.
I know, it's crazy,
but it's legit corruption.
Technically, though, like this, what he's doing, like those funds that they're getting, from my understanding, you're not supposed
to use it for OnlyFans.
Exactly, it's not supposed to be misused. It's not supposed to be used for like, you know, your politicians to subscribe to fucking OnlyFans. It's supposed to be used for campaign expenses, and there is supposed to be like stringent audit on this stuff.
Totally.
So I don't know, but it happens everywhere. Like we've had situations of like politicians here in Canada. I can't remember what this politician's name was, but she like went down to Vegas or something, and it
happens
like,
all the time.
Yeah, and I'm like, where is the like control here? Like it's crazy because like you think about like when you work at a company or something. Yeah, you get a company credit card, but like they audit your expenses. Like I can't just like take the company credit card and just be like, damn, drinks on me.
Well, unless you're a CEO or one of the executives, then you could probably spend all kinds of shit.
That's true.
Which
has
happened many times before.
Yeah, that's where things get a little bit crazy.
Oh my God. It says at least one OnlyFans model claims that Santos was a subscriber to their content. One such model, Layla Lewis, claimed on X, which is formerly Twitter, so stupid, that Santos had been a subscriber and that she had rated his dick.
Can we look her up? You want to see I want to see who she is on your phone.
I don't know why I thought he was gay.
I thought he was too.
Yeah, I don't know why I did.
I think it's because in all of his pictures, he looks very.
I think there was a story about how he was like a cross dresser or something. I don't know. This man is all over the place. Okay? I know. I have no idea.
Apparently, he did jail time in Tibet. I'm just kidding. This guy's been everywhere.
Hold on, I need to see if he was a cross dresser or am I just like confusing it with somebody. Yes, George Santos admits to dressing up as a woman but denies he was a drag queen. Oh yeah, so there was also some drama about that because obviously he's like Republican. I think he's like again against like drag queens or whatever, but then like all these like pictures resurface where people are like you're in drag. Yeah. So it's kind of like okay. Yeah. Like I just like, why would you want to lie so much?
I know, it's so dumb.
And it's so verifiable,
You know what? I guys, I can't deny it. There are pictures of me out there somewhere on the internet.
No, I don't want to subscribe to her. Hold on.
Can you just like
images? Oh, she got some big boobs. Massive boobs.
Big watermelons.
She got that thick body.
But what I was gonna say, guys.
Holy, imagine those big boobs.
Okay. I mean, they look.
They look huge. They literally look like watermelon.
My back's getting sore thinking about it.
I know. That's the thing. That's like, that hurts your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I was going to say, you know what? I can't become a politician and lie and say that I've never, because, there are pictures of me floating around the internet dressed as Britney Spears. So I look hideous, but, I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere out there in the ether.
Yeah. I'm going to find them.
Oh, God dang.
There's some controversial pictures of you as well.
There's some very controversial pictures, guys, that I should probably take down.
That's why you could never be a politician.
I can be a public figure.
It's never going to happen.
For several reasons.
All right, next
this podcast.
All the shit we talk on this podcast.
All the shit we talk about, controversial photos.
Oh, my God.
There's probably photos of me stumbling out of a nightclub, it's been there.
I know. See, my dream of being prime minister is just out the window.
But maybe people would relate to us because we're like relatable and like I'm not gonna lie about it. If someone's like, "Hey, have you ever dressed as a woman before?" I'll be like, "Yeah, there was a gender bender at my school and I dressed as Britney Spears."
I would like to see some honest politicians.
Yes,
for sure.
Like I said, guys, before we jump in the next story, like I've been saying from day one, I think that there should be some guidelines or some kind of like. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what the magic number is, but there has to be some substance to what politicians are saying to get elected and things. Like if I went onto podium and was like, we're going to, invest $50 million into this and $100 million into this, I can't all of a sudden then get elected all based on those promises and be like, oh, sorry guys, actually we don't have funding. So we're going to do zero of what we said we were going to do. Well, there has to be some recourse. Like that's the part where I'm just like, no, you know what I mean? Like, anyway.
It's quite frustrating. Mm-hmm. Fuck politics. Mm-hmm. Fuck politicians.
Do we want to
Fuck Joe Biden.
Do we want to talk about? Did you have a story for us, Rose?
Well, actually, was that the end of the story?
No, but there's one more. But you remember you.
One thing I will mention is that in light of this whole, Israel-Palestine situation. So Joe Biden. So first of all, another thing, I saw this TikTok where somebody was like, "Do you want to know why Joe Biden is so always on Israel's side, no matter what, right? Never, never falters. Always, Israel, believe everything Israel says, like
never
blah, blah,
questions
blah.
them.
It's because he went through, the donors and stuff. And of course, Joe Biden is one of the top recipients. If not, I think he was like literally the first one of donor money from I think it's AIPAC or the Israeli, committee organization in the US. So this is why he can't
go against it.
He can't go against it, or that's how he feels. Because there have been presidents in the past. The thing is, like, we can blame Israel, but actually, if America's like, fuck this, we can't do this, Israel's gonna, abide by that, right? Yeah. Because they don't have
the resources.
Like, they get like so much funding from the U.S. So Joe Biden has so much more power than people realize in this situation. And they've had presidents in the past, even like pretty right-wing presidents that have like, called for a stop to something or whatever. But Joe Biden's just like, whatever, I'm old and I'm going to die tomorrow. Like,
oh God.
And also so anyways, a lot of people now, especially amongst the Arab population in the States, his approval rating is like literally down the fucking gutter. So now people are concerned. How like we talked about like elections and how like some people choose not to vote.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be one of those situations because so many people that normally would vote for a Democrat are some people are just going to sit out.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because like, imagine, that's the thing. And this is why I'm saying, like, I can't even blame them sometimes.
Exactly.
Because it's like, how can you expect someone to vote for someone, even if he was the lesser of two evils? It's like barely the lesser of two evils, by the way. But like,
yeah.
Like, how can you expect someone to vote for someone when they have just completely been like, yep, okay, genocide, check.
Speaking of voting, so you know how I brought up the Australian mandatoriness?
Right.
So someone had commented in the comment section and they mentioned that actually in Australia, because you had mentioned this as well, like, what if you don't want to vote? What if you, you know, and apparently they think there's like an option on the ballot to be like, not voting.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that they have that option as well.
But you have to like go.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So I wonder what would happen in a situation where, let's say, like there was two horrible options and like, you know, 90% of the population voted to not vote. What would happen?
I don't know.
Like, would they be like, okay, scrap it, we got to start all over again? Like,
I'm sure that I don't think that would like happen. Like,
or if
the
it
chance
was like,
is very low.
Yeah, that's true. It's very low.
Most people will have one, like they'll probably pick someone. Even me, I would probably pick the lesser of two evils, but it still fucking sucks. You know, like anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Next
story.
I wasn't sure. Did you
I had a story. Yeah, I did have another story. So this story, now I got OnlyFans on my fucking phone. Daniel, you be making me look at all kinds of shit.
Not like you haven't seen it before, bros.
I don't need to look at OnlyFans. Thank you very much.
I know there's free porn out there. Oh yes, I remember you saying this. Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about OnlyFans. Like, I genuinely don't really get it because it's like, again, like, there's free porn out there, people. Anyway,
but then is that not helping the the creators? But I guess there's ad revenue.
Here's the thing. I think people want, it's not even about, I mean, I'm sure it is about the sexualness of it, but it's like, it's about feeling connected to the creator.
Right.
It's like, okay, they want to feel like they know this
because
person.
in OnlyFans, you can, from what I understand, you can like message them and be like, hey guys,
that's like an extra fee.
I'll pay a little bit more and say my name and then, you know, stick this in your mouth. You know?
Exactly. So, I think that's what I think that's where the money is. A lot of the money. It's like, yes, you have the subscriptions, but then you have like the VIP. There's this girl that I follow and she's like an influencer, but she also does like OnlyFans and she's like fucking in her early 20s or something. She is making like, I think she says she makes like $500,000 a month.
That's insane.
Like absolute
like, I mean, you know what? Honestly, props to her because
props to her.
Literally work for a year, save the fuck out of that money, and never work again.
Well, she's probably working a little bit longer.
Well, I mean, true. Maybe 2 years, maybe three.
But that's insane. God, sometimes I wish I had no shame.
Yeah, but like, listen to this: $500,000 a month.
I know.
Think about that. That is, what is that? $6 million a year. 2-3 years.
And she's like, yeah, I just shoot like, you know, like once a week. I do like a bulk shoot.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then it's mostly just marketing. And then like chatting with these creeps. Oh God, but it's like, I heard her say something like one of her dad's like friends messaged her and was like a VIP subscriber. Ooh, see, this is the kind of shit. This is why I could never. Like, I could never. It's like, can you imagine?
Well, this is the thing. This is like, if you're doing that kind of stuff, like, you know, there is a chance that you're like friends or you're like family. It kind of
amazes me that people, you know, go into like, you know, porn and you know, this kind of work and they're very like open about it with their family.
Yeah.
That is amazing to me because I'm like, what? Like, that's good for you. Like,
but would you rather just be open with your family about it or have your family find out about it?
Of course, I would rather be open with my family about it, but it's like the fact that you feel like that's like the fact that that's okay, which I mean, again, like I think that's healthy.
Yeah, I think
that's good, but it amazes me because I could never.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like amazing to me that, you know, they're like close with their family and they're like, and they're just like openly talking about, you know, how they do, you know, and I'm like, God damn. It's just like, wow. Again, like, I think it's healthy. I think it's good. I mean, I don't know if it's healthy, but like, I think it's healthier than like hiding it from your family or whatever. But yeah, even just like what is that conversation? Hi, mom and dad, I do porn.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Anyway, next story, last story.
This is a fucking depressing story.
So the world, guys, we're going to talk about the doom and gloom that we haven't talked about for some time. I think
we haven't.
Basically, there's an article that says the world's richest 1%, keep this in mind, contributed as much carbon as the 5 billion people who comprise 2/3 of the globe's poorest in 2019. So there you go. So this report was published Monday by Oxfam, an independent organization focused on alleviating global poverty and conducted with the Stockholm Environmental Institute.
It found that the emissions of the world's richest 1% made up 16% of the total seen in 2019, about the same amount contributed by the poorest 66% of humanity.
So messed up.
In addition, the richest 10% accounted for half the total emissions.
Do we count as that?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
There's so many people out there. I don't know what is like constituting like what.
Yeah.
But like, it's just.
I know.
So bad.
It says, every sentence, it's like a fucking bomb. Okay. The report noting it would take about 1,500 years, 1,500 years for someone in the bottom 99% of the world to produce as much carbon as the richest billionaires do in a year.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read that one more time. It would take someone in the bottom 99%.
So that's basically everyone else.
Basically everyone that's not a billionaire of the world. It would take them 1,500 years to produce as much carbon as the richest billionaires do in a year. That is just disgusting.
It's because it's excess, right?
This is what I mean.
This is the issue. It's like things that people don't need. It's just become excessive.
Private jets, gigantic mansions times 10.
Yeah.
Private islands.
Yeah.
Like all of this fucking insanity, you know? Titanic under the fucking submarine.
Yeah.
Like stupid shit like this. It's like
it's crazy. It's
so crazy. This is why some people say it's like, you know, we can do so much, right? As like a normal person, like we can follow a vegan diet and yes, like I still believe that, you know, we should be doing what we can.
Definitely.
But at the same time, it's like I can almost understand people's kind of frustration and lack of wanting to do anything because of stats like this, where it literally says like the richest 1% contribute as much carbon as the 5 billion people that are 2/3 of the global's poorest population.
Yeah. So that's crazy. So like that 1%. So like this is the thing. That's where the change really does need to happen.
Exactly.
It's that richest 1% that needs to fucking
tax the fucking rich and ban private jets. Like it's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like
nobody needs a private jet.
Nobody needs a private jet, okay? All you fucking billionaires, get on fucking business class.
First class. There
okay?
you go. Go
There's
first class.
Nice ass first class fucking flights nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. And it's not even, that's just one part of it. Yachts, the super yachts.
The super yachts. Oh my God.
Like, just to like appease their boredom, you know? It's like, oh my God.
It's like Squid Game, you know, at the end of the.
It's like Squid Game.
At the end of Squid Game.
That too.
Yeah, that like.
It's coming out. Season 2 is coming out.
No, is it?
In like a few days.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Shut up, Rose. It's not. I saw something come up on Netflix about a game, but it wasn't Squid Game 2.
Hold on, Daniel. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Squid Game.
I think you might be getting something mixed. You might be getting your wires crossed there, Roses.
No, I thought it said November 22nd.
So what I think Rose is thinking of is while she was quickly going through Netflix, there's another show that's coming out that's called The Squid Game.
Oh,
I saw it as well, and I got really excited. And then I saw it was just like Squid
annoying.
Game.
No, I thought it was coming out.
Like, look up Squid Game. That's probably what you're.
Oh, that's so fucking stupid. You're right. The Squid Game, the challenge. I don't want to see that. Oh my God.
When
is season 2 coming out?
You know, they need to make a season 2 of Squid Game. They also need to make a season 2 of Hellbound.
I know. That was so good.
I need to figure out what's happening with Hellbound because right at the end, some shit went down. And I need to know.
I know. So good.
So the creators of Hellbound, please.
Oh my God. You know what we forgot to talk about? Oh, you know what you need to finish watching?
What?
The Escaping Twin Flames.
Oh, yes. I'm on episode 2.
Guys.
Almost done. Does it get crazy?
We need to do a deep dive.
Yes.
We need to do a deep dive Guys, you need to watch this show. It's on Netflix. It's called Escaping Twin Flames. It's a documentary. It's only 3 episodes.
Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, watch it tonight. It's only 3 episodes, and it's about this like
couple.
internet. It's about a couple that's like started this like internet cult where basically they're like, you need to find your twin flame, which is kind of like your soulmate.
Yeah.
And basically these people join and they get like abused, all kinds of crazy.
They make them do crazy shit. Like, for example, this one girl that was on there, she split up with her partner and they were like, no, he was your twin flame.
Right.
You need to stalk his life.
Yeah.
So she did.
And he got like a restraining order.
And she got arrested.
She went to jail.
Yeah. And then he was like, she came out of jail and he was like, you know, we're so proud of you for following your destiny to become your.
Oh my God.
And then they like started like talking about her story and promoting her. And she was living back with her parents, still following this fucking twin flame people.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And I'm just like, oh my God, how do people fall for this?
Well, they prey on, it's sad because they prey on these people. Like
people that are in desperate situations.
Exactly. Like people that are like, I really just want to find love. And like, I could see that. Like, I want to find love.
I know, but this is another reason why we need to stop like centering everything around finding a soulmate or whatever the fuck, because people fall for stuff like this.
And you know what's crazy is like the couple that does this, like if I met them, right? Like I was just thinking
we talked about this.
They're not very charismatic. They're not
opinion,
very like drawing people in. So I'm like, I don't know how it happened, but it did. It did happen.
Somehow they drew people in. I have no idea why. Because usually cult leaders have like specific characteristics. And obviously maybe we only saw certain bits or whatever. But it's just like, I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know. It's fucked up. You guys need to watch it. It's actually so fucked. Some of the things that they end up doing or making people do. Oh, guys, go watch it. We need to discuss. We need to have a deep dive.
Well, maybe we'll do that as one of our pre-recorded episodes before you go to Hawaii.
Oh, God damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you're not already, check us out on patreon.com/the SaVeg podcast. Also, guys, we're obviously on YouTube. Give the video a thumbs up. And you know what's so cute? I'm always like, we're always both like, show us some love in the comment section. Some people just wrote, showing you some love.
Aww.
I was like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yes, guys, continue to show the love.
Yeah, show us some love there.
The love.
Yes. And then also, if you were listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, just hit that follow. And then that way you'll get updated as soon as a new episode goes live. I think that's it.
Yeah, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.